Hello, my beautiful friends, and welcome to Funky Inspiration. We're your host, Daniela, a place to find peculiar ways to look at life and be inspired by this life. I hope you will join me every Wednesday in finding new ways to have a better quality of life. Thank you for stopping by. Lots of love, my friends. Hello, my beautiful friends, and welcome back to Funky Inspiration with your host, Daniela. In today's episode, I want us to talk about something a little bit different than the topic that is going on at the moment. Of course, I will briefly touch base on the coronavirus because I think that it is beyond appropriate to talk about it at this moment, but I also think that it's important for us to keep harnessing and focusing all of our energy on things that truly matter right now and things that could help us grow from the situation rather than stay paralyzed or stagnant. So with that said, I wanted to mention something that I believe I even mentioned in the last episode, and it was that this is a time of our uncertainty. And after thinking of that, I realized every day of our lives is uncertain. Like regardless whether there's a pandemic or anything going on, there's always uncertainty. I even think back to 2012. I was in Florida in vacation and I fell in the bathtub. When I fell out of the shower and ended up breaking a piece of the toilet off with my head. I almost thought, this was a moment where I will probably die because, of course, nothing can be more harsh than hitting your head with a toilet that is made out of porcelain and breaking a piece off of it. And then I had to, of course, go to the hospital. Obviously, thank God, I am okay, I am alive, and I am well. But that moment was so important in my life because it really taught me that anything or everything in every day of our life is truly uncertain. There's no guarantee of anything. So I think, this is just one more thing in our life that is uncertain at the moment. So let's focus on that hopefully this can teach us all to live a little bit more wholeheartedly, to live a little bit more in alignment with what we wish to do, to have, and to see in this world, rather than just focusing on this aspect and this fear, because that is really going to make us not be able to reap the benefits out of this. And I think that there's definitely lessons to be learned here. There's things to take away from this moment that we're going through in our lives right now. With that said, I also wanted to briefly discuss the effects of fear in our body and in our mind, because it is beyond important that we realize how bad fear can be for us and for our good health. So these are some of the things I want to highlight for you guys. When we are in fear, it weakens our physical health, such as weakening our immune system, our cardiovascular health, our gastrointestinal health, so our gut, not being able to go to the bathroom properly, not being able to digest properly while we're eating, and anything that has to do with our stomach is affecting it. It decreases our fertility for women. It accelerates aging. It impacts our mental health. This one is huge, and I think everybody's getting a piece of that right now, of how impactful this is being in our mental health. So that is why I highly always talk about fear so much on this podcast, especially during this time. We must think of ways to move ourselves from fear, not to ignore it because it is there. We must acknowledge it and see that it's there, but we must make ways to break apart from it and move forward. So for example, I can give you one quick example of how I used to get off my fear mentality when I was working somewhere where I will, get stressed out constantly. What I used to do, I used to go into the bathroom at work and I used to do a shake off dance. It sounds crazy, and believe me, it probably is crazy, But it really helped me to shift that energy in my body and be able to come back to work and sort of face whatever I had to do in that moment, rather than just be stagnant in my fear and not be able to move forward. Because that is what happens when we don't move our energy. So it's important to move our energy, especially when we are in fear, because every time we are in fear, we're pretty much just lowering our immune system, lowering the defenses that our bodies have to protect us. So you want to be very careful of what you're consuming, what you're seeing, what you're paying attention to. I am so careful of this at this moment. I have muted people, I have unfollowed people who just put out negativity. I was even talking to my cousin last night, and she was telling me of a psychologist that she follows who is pretty much sending out emails of fear and a lot of negative stuff. And I thought that is horrible. How can somebody who works in a mental health be offering that? But to be honest, I don't want to come from a point of judgment, because I know that when we are in fear, we also act a little bit irrational, and we tend to do things that might not make any sense. So no judgment to this lady who's putting out those type of content out there. But I told my cousin, just mute her, don't follow her, and try to avoid, receiving that negative energy that she's putting out. She might have been great for you in that moment where you had your sessions with her and all of that. But at this moment, maybe it's best for you to stay away from, from her emails, her account, and anything else that she might be putting out there, because I do really, really want you to take that into consideration. Make sure that what you're listening to is going to uplift you, to make you feel better, to make you feel hope in these moments of, where we might need it the most. Because like I said, I don't want to say uncertainty, because that's what I started in the beginning saying, that pretty much every day of our life is uncertain, because that is life. Anything could happen to you the minute you start to, wake up and get out of bed, or even in your bed, like anything is uncertain. So just be careful of what you are consuming these days, and try to keep your energy uplifted. Watch people who uplift you. And if you find no one out there who's uplifting your spirit, I encourage you to lift up your own spirit. Find ways to really bring that up for yourself and show up for yourself in this world. This is a beautiful time to go within, to slow down, to think of what matters, what truly matters to you, what makes you happy. Think of what you used to like to do as a child. This is a great way to really start a new activity. For example, something I used to love to do as a child was to be creative, to make art. So I am making art. I am drawing. I am painting. I am doing anything that is putting out my art, my creativity. Even making this podcast is a form of me being creative and putting out there my creativity. So think of what you used to do as a child and try to do that. It doesn't matter if you're an adult now. It does not matter. Just try it and see how beneficial it can be for you. Because when we do something we love, we are in a state of flow. And when we are in this state of flow, this is a beautiful space to be in. And that's what we need more of, my friends. That's what we really need to focus in at this moment, to be in our heart center, to be in that loving and beautiful energy that is within all of us, because we are made of divine love and light. And don't forget that, my friends, you are love and light. So really, really think of that. One last thing before we go into the bigger topic of today's episode is for you to really think of what lessons this is bringing up for you. What lessons is this bringing up for our society? What lessons is this bringing up for our world, for humanity? Really think of that. I know that it is hard to think of positivity and anything else than maybe fear in this moment, but I highly encourage you to sit down, breathe deeply, and just think of anything positive these changes have brought to you, to those around you, to anybody that you're seeing. One beautiful thing I read the other day was this girl who she commented on something I was looking at on social media, and she said, you know what, the most positive thing that happened for me during this coronavirus was the fact that I got laid off from my job. And me being laid off at home showed me that there's no way I can go back to that job. And she was saying how she feels completely at peace with her decision to not go back to her job when she's able to go back. That she's actually thinking of new creative ways where she can really use her talents, her energy to put that into work right now, rather than focusing on going back to work or focusing on being sad or depressed because she got laid off and might not have the job at this moment. She's actually realizing that she was stuck in a work she didn't love for many years, and it took her this pandemic to realize that she needed to break apart from that job. And I believe that is a beautiful lesson for anyone to learn, because I believe many of us sometimes spend years and years in a job that we might not like, that we might even hate, as strong as that word is, and we stick around for 8 years, 10 years, 20 years, and never move forward. So this is a great reminder for anyone who might get laid off. I'm not encouraging you to not go back to your work, but I am encouraging you to look at what that job brings for you and how can you either grow in that job, or if you're not growing anymore, think of something you could do in the future. This is a great time to go within, like I said, to slow down, to relax, to think of what matters to you. What are your priorities? What makes you feel alive? What makes you feel like you're thriving and truly living this human experience that we all get to live here on earth? Think of that, my friends. But anyways, with that said, that topic of today is all about learning a new language. I think because many of us are probably home, if you have the luxury and privilege to stay home right now, you might want to do something new that you have never tried. So I wanted to highly encourage you to try to learn a new language. If you just speak one or two, might be great to just learn a new language. I highly believe in the power of learning new languages because there's so much more we can learn from other people. And it really teaches you that we are not that different one from the other. I love languages. I speak about 3 of them. I would say mostly fluently at this point. And I can also pick up a little bit of Slovak because I used to live in Slovakia. I can pick up a little bit of French if I really, clean up my ears in that moment. And also, just from being in Italy before, I know that I can sort of get by in Italy with my Spanish because some of the words can be a little bit similar. So I just think it's magnificent to be able to communicate with other people because it literally saves you from situations sometimes. In Italy, my friend and I got lost and we didn't know where to go. And because of my Spanish and, a few little tiny words that I knew in Italian, I was able to get this couple to help us get back to where we needed to go, to where our home actually was, so we actually really needed to get there. It wasn't like we were trying to find the directions to a restaurant, but just that itself helped me to be able to get to the place we needed to go. So I think languages really open up new pathway for us to grow as a human being, to learn new things, to embrace a culture fully, and just to really connect with other human individuals out there that might offer beautiful things for you, that can make you grow as a person, that can make you, feel more alive, that can make you have more faith in humanity and all the wonderful things that brings when you connect with someone else. I have to say that obviously, I think if you haven't noticed by now, English is my second language. So that is the first language I learned. the first second language I learned, I guess. It's really funny because I started to learn English when I lived in the Dominican Republic. That's where I was born and grew up until I was 11 years old. And when I was there, we used to have like this little semi-private English lessons. And to be honest, it's so funny because the minute I stepped foot in the US, which was when I was, like I said, 11 something years old, I realized I didn't know English. All I knew how to say was table and my name is. So it was very sad to say the least. And it took me, I would say, 1 whole year of a lot of dedication and a lot of reading, a lot of writing, a lot of listening. And of course, it had so many hiccups for me to learn English, but I learned it towards, 1 year of being here and practicing daily. I used to read even about 25 small books, per month. And I remember this because we had a class where the teacher really encouraged us to keep reading. And I really took it to heart when she said, go read, is really going to help you keep learning more English. And for me as well, there was, I had this teacher in a chorus class he was a good person. I don't want to say anything bad about him, but he was definitely a bit of a bully. And I remember that he will say things to me in class that people will laugh about. So obviously it wasn't so nice, whatever he was saying. And there was a nice girl that she would try to explain it to me what he was saying, but I'm sure she was a lot more lovely and a lot more polite in repeating, translating what he was saying to me. But anyways, I feel like that bad thing, like him being a bully, kind of pushed me to want to learn English a lot faster because I saw that there was a need. I didn't want to be the odd one in the class who didn't understand, who people were laughing at, and I had no idea what they were laughing about. So again, it's almost like finding that gasoline, that fuel from something bad. And obviously that is not so bad. I did not die from somebody bullying me. It's not that big of a deal, but it can affect people's confidence to be bullied. So I just wanted to bring that up, how sometimes we can use something negative that happens to us to turn it into something positive, because that really pulled me to really get serious about learning English. And here are some of the ways that I learn English and that I have learned Portuguese, because that is the third language I chose to learn. And then I chose to learn, Norwegian, but that dropped rather quickly, and I decided to learn Slovak because that's where I moved to. But learning English started with me listening to music, and I would listen to absolutely everything, even not the most appropriate music sometimes, because hence I didn't know what the songs were saying. I remember one of my favorite songs in English was Because I Got High, by Afro Man. I think it was the artist at that moment, until I realized the lyrics, and because a teacher told me what I was singing. So there goes that. But anyways, there's plenty of songs nowadays. There's so much more resources that I didn't have when I was trying to learn English. So really take advantage of all the resources out there. You can also check out series, like download Netflix. If that's accessible to you, you can download a Netflix account, and they have so many shows with so many languages out there. Like, for example, right now I really want to focus on learning Russian. Don't ask me why. I have really been into wanting to learn Russian. So I downloaded a series that I'm going to start watching in order for me to start getting my ear accustomed to the Russian language. And this is something that I highly encourage you to try, because it's so easy to learn when you are watching characters go on the day-to-day life, and you just kind of start to get it. After a little while, you start to get little basic things like the hellos, the thank you, the you're welcome, or here, that, this, basic little phrases that are so needed when you're learning a new language. If you're learning a new language, I highly encourage you to first learn how to say hello. Second, it will be thank you. You're welcome. That's another great one to learn. This or that is also a great one because you can always point with your finger whenever you go to a foreign country. You can point at things and be able to get by with that. So that is really, really something I encourage you to try. But again, you can go so much deeper today because, like I said, there's so many resources. There's online courses, and there's online courses that are free. Like I have found some on YouTube, but there's other courses that you can pay for, and some are not even that expensive, and you can even learn even more. Like I know I have bought Audible. I bought a German course to try to learn German. People, I don't know if you can tell by now, but I am fascinated by languages. It is sort of my thing. So I think that's why I get so intrigued to learn something new. But I hope you can also get, the contagion of this is contagious. That's the word I'm trying to look for here. You see, you never really stop learning, my friends. So try to look for any ways where you can learn, where you can really gather information from. Another great resource is apps. There's so many apps nowadays. Some of my favorites are Babbel. I will write these down on the notes so you guys can look them up later. Duolingo and Drops. Those are my three favorites. So Babbel, Duolingo, and Drops. They are great apps for learning languages. But like I said, there's so many. So all you have to do is go on your Google Play Store or your Apple Play Store and type in how to learn Spanish, let's say. And all the different apps that are available for learning Spanish will come up. So you can try one. If you don't like it, you can just delete it and download a different one. That is often what I do. If I find an app that I don't really love and I have tried it for, I don't know, let's say 2 weeks, and I really do not like how it functions, I do not like the look of it, I just delete the app and go ahead and download a different one. It's just trial and error with these things sometimes, my friends. The good thing about Babbel is that you can actually set up like meetings with people from that country or, the language that you are wishing to learn. And often what they do, I believe my understanding is that they pair you up. Let's say somebody wants to learn English and you want to learn Spanish. So they will set you up with somebody who wants to learn English, and you will be communicating with that person, and therefore you will be learning Spanish and they will be learning English from you. So it's like a win-win situation, and you can make new friends. You can also try on the website that I have mentioned before here, which is called Couchsurfing. And what you can do there is to get creative, make a post where you ask if anybody would like to meet virtually in order for you to practice a language. And I am sure some people might answer you, and you will have, again, another resource to learn a new language. I think those are like my top favorites to do. Another one that can be a little bit more time consuming and it takes a lot more energy is to write down what you're learning. So get a notebook, get a piece of paper, or I wouldn't suggest for you to type it because I do feel that you learn a lot more when you write down things. So I highly encourage you to just get a notebook and try to write down things that you're learning, and even write out conversations, Even if you're watching a TV series, maybe you can just rewatch it over and over until you really start to get the language and really become a little bit more fluent in the language. For example, when I was learning Portuguese, I ordered a TV show in Portuguese, and I believe I probably have watched that TV show about 4 times. So, of course, it is a show that I love, but I have tried to watch it multiple times in order to really be able to soak in and learn the language more fluently. And it has helped me a lot because I can have conversations with Portuguese speaking people without feeling fearful. I was actually in Portugal recently, or not that recent, like 4 months ago. And I remember I ordered a cab And I was talking to the guy in Portuguese, and the first question, he was like, how do you know Portuguese? Because obviously, because of my accent and the way I was responding, which wasn't probably the most proper Portuguese, he was realizing that I knew how to communicate with him, but I just wasn't, extremely fluent, or that I wasn't a native speaker of Portuguese. But he actually complimented me on my Portuguese, and I just felt so happy, because it was just like a reminder that it's been worth it. My studies in learning Portuguese has been worth it. So just keep up with it, keep trying, keep trying to learn. I think there's no better time in this world to learn something new, especially a new language, because there's so many people with so many beautiful messages to share. And the more languages the more messages you're able to receive and understand. So I hope that really inspires you to go out there and learn a new language. You can do it. Make yourself a playlist on Spotify or whatever music app you use. Just make yourself a playlist of that songs or that language you want to learn. I know for myself, I have playlists in Portuguese, I have playlists in French, I have playlists in Russian. So there's many ways for us to get creative nowadays with all the resources we have in this world. Get practicing. Practice all the time, especially now that you might have some free extra time. Just practice, and you will see eventually you will start to really understand the languages that you're trying to learn, and you will be able to communicate with people. And hopefully once this is all over, we can start to travel again, and you can feel more confident when going to a country where you might not had before spoken the language, but now because of this free time you're having, you're getting to learn this language and taking that time to prepare and be ready for when you go to these countries. Anyways, I hope that was encouraging and that you feel energized and ready to take on a new language. Remember, my friends, think of what you're grateful for. Live in gratitude, live in love. Remember to be the light you wish to see in this world. There is so much light to share. Of course, there's a beautiful ambulance or fire truck going on just now. The perks of, recording at home. It's okay. Part of this, right? But anyways, my friends, take care. Be love and light. You are love. You are safe. You are guided. You are protected. Take care, loved ones.